What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beers and. Today, we're going to be talking about
Beers and
Bourbon. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Bourbon, baby.
Love when we're mixing booze on a Sunday afternoon.
Usually not a good combination, but we're going to do it anyway. Welcome back again. My name is Alex, and in person this time.
Woo, it's me. It's Nick.
Nick's here.
Nick's here. That could be taken either as a good thing or a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing.
Depends on your HOA.
That's true. So that is actually true. Today we're going to have cocktails, episode number 30.
Episode number 30.
And we're doing it bourbon style this time.
I feel like this is a very classy episode.
This is. So, you know, we try and stick with the theme beer-wise. I think we've done a pretty good job recently.
Yeah.
With cocktails. So I connected these two with basil.
Oh, very nice.
It was sitting in the fridge. Rob gave it to me. This is the first time Rob's coming up in this episode.
Thanks, Rob.
There will be another one.
Really?
Yeah. Rob full episode.
You've already got that shit-eating grin on your face, which means that something tells you, Rob, you've had a time or two with bourbon. Something tells me.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, actually, it's more informative than anything.
Oh, all right, good. So I'm just making up lies.
So we're having another beer from Icarus today. This one is drinking Peach Basil Fizz for breakfast.
Ooh, I love these breakfast ones.
Yeah, we had one, right?
We've had I want to say we've had a couple of...
Did we have one on camera or off camera? I can't remember.
I don't remember if it was from Icarus, but we had one that was Most Important Meal, I believe.
Oh, yeah, that was Magnify.
Correct.
Did we ever have rhubarb pie for breakfast?
No, but
we never
I want to.
I tried that one.
I've got a lovely recipe for rhubarb pie as well.
Oh, nice. Then maybe we will have rhubarb pie for breakfast.
I guess we're going to have to. I'll make the rhubarb pie. We'll wait for the summer. We'll wait for the summer then. That's rhubarb pie season.
100%. So drinking Peach Basil Fizz for breakfast is a Berliner-style Weiss ale with peaches, limes, and basil.
Ooh, I'm curious about this peaches and lime mix.
I'm excited. I love peaches and lime.
I do like lime, and I do like peaches. I don't think I've had too many, even foods, where that's been the flavor combination at all.
Not with basil.
No.
Nope. And on the cocktail side of things, we have a very lovely Basil Hayden's Bourbon Blackberry Smash, which is, frozen blackberries, lime juice, some Basil Hayden's, and basil.
And basil.
And club soda.
Yes, a little bit of Perrier's.
Yep, so fancy club soda.
Very, very fancy.
So I don't know if you have any brew news, but I actually do.
Come on, you know that I'm here for the drinks. No, I unfortunately do not.
Fair enough.
I've got to set up a notification, I think, going forward, so I don't look like a real piece of shit.
That's okay, because this brew news is from Rob.
Oh, good.
Rob mentioned number 2.
There we go. We've got to get a tally board going.
Early and often. So I don't know. Are you familiar with Gypsy Brewing? It's not.
I am familiar with the concept of Gypsy Brewing. Yes.
Okay, so a small, maybe 2 brewers work out of another brewery's base camp.
Yes.
And make their own beer.
Mm-hmm.
So Twin Lights has done this for a while, but they're actually opening up a brewery right in Jug Handle's old location in Tinton Falls.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
So where's Jug Handle going?
Jug Handle moves already not far from that, maybe like 3 minutes down the road.
Oh.
Yeah, so they're pretty close. And they moved into a much bigger space.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Huh.
So yeah, Twin Lights Brewery's opening up by you in Asbury. Or on Asbury Ave, I should say.
Oh, in Tinton Falls, though?
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yep. All right, beautiful.
You know where Reina's is? The Mexican place. If you're driving towards the Parkway North, trying to come up towards me.
Yeah.
You pass by that shopping plaza where Jug Handle used to be?
Maybe not.
You'd know it if you passed it.
All right.
It's like right after the circle.
Oh,
okay. There's
on
actually
the other
plazas on both sides.
Yeah, it's on the... I usually don't go that way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, I know where you go.
Yes,
okay.
I go on the other side of the traffic circle.
Gotcha.
Yes. Fun fact, I believe that New Jersey, along with Massachusetts, are the only states that actively still use traffic circles.
That's terrible.
I love them.
I mean,
they're great.
You know what? They're not stoplights.
I think they make traffic go faster.
Yeah. That's actually kind of true.
Yeah.
Good for us.
You know what? I think that we're the best, personally.
That is true.
I think we're the greatest ones.
I think that as well. So, really, really simple for the question today. And, I'm going to crack this beer in the meantime.
Ooh, yeah, please.
What's your favorite bourbon?
Oh,
mine's really easy.
Goodness.
I think you know mine too.
I don't know if I know yours.
I actually thought you were going to pick it up to its Bullet. I thought maybe you'd show up with some Bullet.
And you know what? I think that because I've had Bullet so much over the years, not as big a fan any longer.
Okay.
I think I may have just grown
That's
a little.
fair.
Yeah, just grown a little tired. I do like Ballantines. Ballantines is
I've never had that.
Yeah, it's a small batch. Single malt bourbon. It is very, very good. And I love they've got their tops all change. So like they've got ones where it's like someone like riding a thoroughbred. And they've got a whole bunch of, like collectible tops.
Interesting.
You've probably seen them before.
Probably.
Otherwise, again, a good old fashioned, not the drink, but go-to. And again, Nick had suggested I picked it up today. Was Angel's Envy.
Yes,
is really,
that's a
really
good
good.
one.
That's finished in sherry cast. So it's
Right.
got a really nice sweet flavor. Otherwise, why am I forgetting? It's actually distilled in Brooklyn.
Is it the knot? The knob?
No, not Knob Creek.
No. Is it the knot?
No.
I don't think they're in Brooklyn.
Goodness gracious.
You know, another one that I like, and I always confuse them with Knob Creek, is Woodford Reserve.
Okay, yeah, Woodford's like a good old
actually like Woodford a lot.
go-to as well. Yeah, why is this Brooklyn Bourbon Distillery? Distillery. Let's see. Are you gonna let me down? Goodness.
So if anything,
I'm sorry.
I haven't passed you your beer yet.
Oh, you haven't. Real quick, if anything, Widow Jane.
Widow Jane.
Widow Jane is
bourbon.
a delicious bourbon as well. Technically, and we'll learn in a bit. Technically, not a bourbon, and we'll
okay.
we'll learn why in a little bit.
All right. I wonder if you have what I have.
I don't know.
So I like Woodford Reserve. I'm a big Bullet guy. I love Bullet. That's really it for bourbon for me.
I'll put it to you this way: there are more. It's easier for me to tell you what I would not drink. And again, we'll kind of get into some of the specifics, in a little bit. But
Sure.
I abhor Jack Daniels.
Yeah.
I think Jack Daniels is
Not
like
my favorite.
Oh my God, it's like dip spit.
I learned
back in
something
the-
interesting about Jack Daniels today. And do you know why it's not considered bourbon?
I believe it's because of the fact is that it's not. To be bourbon, it must be distilled in the state of Kentucky.
That's actually not true.
Really?
Yeah. The reason why Jack Daniels isn't bourbon is because when it's drained, it's filtered through maple chips.
Oh, correct. Yes, that was another. You know what? I get myself confused because I went ahead and I did obviously research on bourbon, and then I went into Tennessee whiskey as well.
Nice.
to get like the differentiation. So
Nice.
that's where I'm getting confused there. But before any of that, we should probably go ahead and get on into.
This looks like the color of the inside of a peach.
It does. It doesn't have that artificial look to it. It's a really nice golden.
Yep.
I wouldn't call it terribly hazy
And it
necessarily.
smells like
Oh,
tart peach.
yeah, like a peach puree. Really, really nice.
Yeah, I've had a couple of the drinking for breakfast. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
And they're usually not as punchy. So I'm curious to know how the basil is going to be in this one.
I'm thinking that's because of the lime
Could be.
is what we're picking up on too.
It's actually damn good.
Ooh.
That is interesting because it doesn't exactly taste like peach, lime, and basil.
No, and I don't know if it has much of a. I want to say that it's almost blended to the point to where none of those individual flavors come out on their own.
Yeah, they're not
entirely?
distinct. They're like create something new.
Yeah. Huh.
So, and all it says on the can is heavily wheated Berliner style Weiss, conditioned on copious amounts of peaches, and then finished on basil and limes.
Let me tell you, I want a job with any one of these breweries if you're hiring to be
Writing the can.
copy editor or a copywriter. And listen, to each their own. but we are overusing the word copious.
That's
Overusing the
true.
word copious at this point. I've
Great
had
word,
enough.
But
Great
it's being
word,
overused.
but it's being overused.
That's how I feel about that song American Pie.
Why?
I think it's overplayed.
Is it because a long, long time ago you can still remember?
Yes. How everyone still overplays this song till this day. Yes, I remember.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Sorry, Don Healy.
How about let's do a quick overthought. I have a good one. So there's always like a big stigma around raw eggs and how they're bad for you.
Correct.
You know, like people drinking eggs, like that's so taboo because you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But I've seen chefs, professional chefs, make aiolis with an egg yolk, and I've also seen bartenders, professional mixologists, mix drinks with egg whites.
Correct.
What am I missing?
I want to say, and I'm speculating here, but I want to say it has to do with the amount of raw eggs one does consume.
Okay, that makes sense. Everything in moderation.
Yeah, I'm going to go, because it's the same sort of thing of like, you're not supposed to eat, like raw meat, but what is, beef tartare,
Right.
but raw meat essentially to begin with.
At that point, you're trusting that you get it from a reputable
Correct.
distributor, and the animals are taken care of.
I think that, and maybe again, I'm speculating here, but I wonder if that has a little bit to do with it also, just
Probably.
due to, not to take us in a different direction, but just reading about mass agricultural, chicken farms and
It's
egg
wicked,
it
dude.
is a horrifying sight to see. So I'm wondering if it also just has to do with the idea of like the way in which these chickens are kept to begin with.
Could be.
Probably not the most, well, not probably, but they're definitely not the most sanitary.
Right.
So that might have something to do with it.
I always think about that. Like we try our best to always get free range, organic, and when it comes to like beef, grass fed, organic, USDA certified. We try to stick with that stuff because I want to eat the best.
It's funny because I know that a lot of times, like, unfortunately, and I'm sure, and I know you do too, because I do the same thing. I try to buy, again, free range. Unfortunately, those buzzwords are just
they don't mean exactly what you want them to mean all the time.
Because I know that, so when we were in, again, undergrad, we used to have a farm in Orange County that we used to drive, we used to drive over the border, go into Orange County, and we would get meat from this one farm, and it was one of those deals where it was like, yeah, see that cow over there? That's the one I'd like. And
That's awesome.
You would know exactly then
Right.
what you were getting. It was a small operation. But otherwise, yeah, sometimes it's a little tricky.
Sure, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
I would love to get to the point if I had space. I would love to have chickens
That'd be cool.
of my own.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. They're finicky, though, but they're also very lovely.
Are they?
Did we do an episode on chickens? I feel like I did a deep
I think
dive
you-
for some
oh, I-
reason on
on-
chickens.
was it on
On
birds?
birds, yes. They're very affectionate animals, but so one of the things that I learned is that they lay their eggs. I read a book randomly about this. Chickens lay eggs very much based on the time of day that it is. So like they actually do. They're supposed to like sleep at night and during the day.
Interesting.
But as a result of like the way that we farm them now is that they keep the lights on all the time. So chickens don't know when to go to sleep.
Right.
So they're just continually pumping
terrible.
out. Oh, it's abysmal.
That's terrible.
Abysmal. But I do love a good egg.
Yeah, I mean, it's the most versatile food.
The incredible edible.
Yeah. I can't believe it's not. Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's butter.
that's butter. That's margarine, I
Sorry.
think, too.
Yeah, it's not even real butter.
Not even real butter.
Nope.
This is a very nice.
I am a big fan. Yeah, I feel like the more I drink it, though, the less I taste the basil.
Yeah?
Maybe it's just me.
I think that.
No,
So
it's there.
I think that the taste of basil and lime
Yeah, that's what it is.
could be very close to one another. I think that they're all. It's interesting because I think that each flavor complements the other one in such a way that you're not going to get that distinction. But all three all together muddle that even more. Like if it was basil and peach, I'd say,
Right.
Okay. If it was peach and lime, I'd say okay. If it was lime and basil, I'd say okay.
I don't even know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But all three all together, I think kind of kill at times the opportunity for there to be a particular like standout.
For something to shine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting because like I wouldn't say they're muddled. I would say they bring out different things in each other.
Yeah. I find that the aftertaste is mostly
Basil and lime.
Yeah, I was going to say definitely for me the lime.
Lime. Yeah, a lot of lime.
I enjoy it.
I mean, I like it.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm going to give it like a 3.79.
Okay, you're lower than I thought you'd be.
It's nice. It's good. It's balanced.
Definitely.
It could, I think, if you were to put this in a flight, I think it would get lost somewhere in the middle. And that's why I'm going to put it, again, 3.7, 3.8-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like this a lot, actually. I think the tartness of the lime is really nice, and there's kind of like an herbaceousness from the basil. It's not very prevalent, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's on the back. Man, yeah, I want to give it over a 4, but I agree with you. There's something about it that I feel like there's more to come from this.
It's unique compared to a regular kind of ale, I think.
Definitely.
Or a Berliner Weiss. But I don't think as unique as it could be. To be honest with you, you know what I keep kind of searching for in this? A little spice. I feel like I would like a little bit of heat thrown in here. A little jalapeno, perhaps, just to kind of creep through. I feel like that's what I'm missing more than anything.
Yeah, or maybe not even heat, but just spice.
Just spice in general.
Like some sort of
pepper-y, a little bit of cayenne, even maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I would like.
Okay. I'm going to say, I'm going to stick 4 flat because I'm like covering in between 4.05 and 3.95.
Okay. All right.
So I'm going to right in the middle, 4 flat.
All right.
But it is very good.
It is a very nice beer.
I could kill a ton of these.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't, if you offered me a full one, if you offered me a second one, I wouldn't say no. There's not much I do. But I definitely wouldn't say no. I wonder how it pairs at this point with this lovely cocktail that's over here.
Yeah, I'm hyped for this thing, man. Oh, my goodness. Like that basil and blackberry I've had before.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very good.
Absolutely.
It's a very nice flavor combination. Bourbon's going to bring something to the party.
I think so. So it's always funny because I know that there are two types of individuals. There are those that drink and enjoy bourbon, and there are those who drink bourbon and
Enjoy themselves.
And don't enjoy anybody or anything.
That's
get
totally true.
Nasty.
That is totally true.
They get nasty. I don't think that you and I are like that.
No.
By any means. I really don't have one of those liquors. Vodka might make me a little mouthy. And wine.
Wine's the wild card.
Wine for me is the one where I will drink it. I will get equally as lit up as everybody else, but I will deny being equally as lit up and look down on everybody else for being drunk as a result. But bourbon is not.
Fair enough.
Oh, yeah. I'm a complicated individual.
You kind of said it before when you said that, we'll talk about it later of why this isn't a bourbon or like why, what actually classifies it. I assume you got those things.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So, the way I put it was bourbon and whiskey confused me.
Yes.
Because it can be very confusing.
Correct.
So I won't give them all because I know you did some of them. But I found 5 qualifications. Somewhere I found 6.
Okay.
But 5 qualifications a spirit must possess to be considered bourbon.
Okay.
So it must be made in the U.S.
Correct. I've got.
Not necessarily Kentucky.
Right.
But that's also where 95% of the world's supply of bourbon comes from.
And if I'm not mistaken, it's due to the fact that that it is built in. Like there was a Senate resolution back in the 60s that had designated bourbon as a uniquely American drink. And as a result, it's one of those things where you can't call something bourbon unless it meets these qualifications.
Exactly. Bourbon is the first official U.S. born spirit.
Oh, it is the first one?
Yes.
Oh, that you see
and
that
the
I
first
didn't
and
know.
only.
Oh.
As of right now.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that one I didn't know.
Yep. Yeah, so that that's kind of what you were saying. So this is. Do you know why 95% of the world's supply comes from Kentucky?
Do I know why? No, I'm like looking back through my notes as if I'm gonna find the answer. Then I'm like, maybe yes.
Kentucky has superior quality filtered limestone water.
Oh,
And also Kentucky's severe, how it was described was its extreme climate. Also lends to the fact that it produces superior bourbon.
Interesting.
Yeah,
you see that I didn't know.
So corn obviously is the main crop.
Right.
But it goes in to explain that originally when bourbon was being distilled, they realized very quickly that during the hot months they couldn't distill. It would be a weaker quality bourbon and also sometimes not even come out at all.
Oh.
And this is because if it gets too hot, the corn in the mash tun dies.
Oh.
So they not until they could cool down the process
Artificially.
were they able to start doing it year round.
Huh.
But because Kentucky has such I didn't know this. They start brewing it in the winter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So because Kentucky has such harsh winters, that lends to that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, the corn part makes sense because that's another one of the qualifiers is that it must contain at least or be made from at least 51% maize or corn as part of the mash.
Yep. Maker's Mark is up over 70. I don't know if you saw that.
Interesting.
Up over 70% corn.
Huh. See, that one I didn't know.
Yep.
That one I didn't know.
Yep. And that's actually one of my least favorite.
Maker's Mark?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily go out of my way for it. Yeah.
They make a wonderful cigar, though.
Maker's does.
Oh, yeah.
Is it dipped in? Is that what it is?
The casing, open it up.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
dipped
yeah.
in wax, yeah.
Oh.
But it's like they dip, I believe they either brush the leaf or dip the leaf in.
I was going to say in the bourbon
bourbon.
itself. Huh.
Yeah, it's very sweet, very nice cigar.
Interesting. I didn't know this, that it is an extraordinarily lucrative industry.
Yes, it is.
So between bourbon and Tennessee whiskey, because they do combine the two of these together, I'm sure then you probably have a similar stat then, how much money they had made at least as of 2018?
I don't have that. I actually have what they have to pay in taxes every year.
Oh, well, if anything, it did come up that it is a $3.6 billion industry between the two of them. Between bourbon and Tennessee whiskey.
Hello.
And which in parentheses I then put, which is evidently different than bourbon itself.
Quite. What was my number stat?
In terms of how much tax?
Yeah, I don't know if I could find it. I'll find it later. It's in here.
All right.
So among the other requisites, it must be aged in a new charred oak barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Brand new. It's got to be. And I think, this I thought was interesting. It cannot enter the barrel greater than 125 proof.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And it can't be bottled at less than 80.
Yeah, I didn't know that was going to be such a specific qualification.
Yeah, that's strange.
Well, I guess, again, it is one of those, like, once you start to differentiate between, because realistically, you've got whiskey, Tennessee whiskey, Canadian whiskey, bourbon, rye,
there's more,
Scotch
Japanese whiskey.
There's such an interesting, and again, I guess it's one of those things where we run into them, but I don't think that you start to, like, okay, Seagram's is Canadian whiskey. Oh, okay. That's because it's a Canadian company or whatever.
Right.
It's different. Scotch because it's from Scotland. Until you start to realize, like, oh no, there actually are these differentiating qualifications and characteristics.
Yeah. And then the last one that I had was nothing can be added but water, only to dilute when necessary.
Oh.
So that must be when it either goes into the barrel or, it must be it.
Interesting. You see, that I
yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah, that was the last one that I had for that.
Huh. So because of the fact is that, like I said, they seem to combine at least the statistics having to do with Tennessee whiskey. Like I said, I wanted to kind of figure out what is a bit of the difference between the two. So very similar. Oh, by the way, you know what?
Oh yeah, we
We're
haven't
sitting
tried
here
the
talking
cocktail
about
yet.
it.
That was
We
silly.
should cheers. Happy 30th.
Cheers again. Hey.
Ooh, my.
I could drink that all day.
My stars. That is a delicious,
That
delicious
is
little drink.
Top
Wow.
of the top. Like
That is
you know what I think?
very
One
nice.
thing it needs:
A little
more
bit
basil, more or maybe muddled more.
Maybe muddled just a little bit more. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? And I mean, I know we're working with types of glasses. You serve this to me in a highball glass. Ooh.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be served.
Ooh,
In.
you would find me on the nearest porch, rocking back and forth, just waiting for somebody for a caller to come around.
You ever see Django Unchained?
Yes.
This is a Calvin Candy drink.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
100%. I think that all Southern accents are ridiculous until you're in a certain tax bracket, and that's the one what I enjoy very much the most.
Anyone who hasn't seen that movie, go see that movie.
Oh, it's a
Phenomenal movie.
beautiful movie.
Yeah.
So like I said, though, I wanted to figure out some of the differences then between bourbon and Tennessee whiskey.
Definitely.
So I don't know, again, if you had kind of like dove into this at all, but so for anything, again, to be defined as Tennessee whiskey, by law, it's a law actually, it must be made in the state of Tennessee and use the filtering step known as the Lincoln County process, which is it's actually what you had just described with Jack
really?
Daniels. Yes.
Oh.
So that is whiskey that is either filtered or steeped through a thick layer of maple charcoal before going into the oak barrels.
Interesting.
So I was a little curious again as to why was it called the Lincoln County process. So that is the original home of Jack Daniels.
Dry County.
Yep. Yes, and that's like cracked
blows
me
my
up.
mind.
So they redrew all the boundaries. So all of those distilleries that were once in Lincoln County no longer are in Lincoln County, and the only distillery that is still in Lincoln County doesn't use the Lincoln County process. So it doesn't actually. It's
That's silly.
Yeah, Pritchard's. So it's not actually then considered Tennessee whiskey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Love that kind of stuff.
Okay, so all Tennessee whiskey must go through the process of being filtered over maple charcoal.
Yep, through maple charcoal before
That
going
is-
into the charred barrels.
Interesting.
Yep. Fun stuff.
That's what it is that I don't like about Tennessee whiskey.
I think that might be what it
That's
is
what
for
it's
me.
gotta be.
Because I'm not a big maple syrup guy
I
to
like
begin with.
I like maple syrup.
Oh,
but I
really?
don't like
Oh.
I don't like Jack Daniels.
Oh, no. Well, Jack Daniels again. Like I
Hell
said.
no. I can't.
Dip spit.
I don't know if you remember this, but there was a time we were at Dan's and Steve, I think it was when he lived at home. And Steve came out and he had a water gun filled with Jack Daniels. And he shot it in my mouth and I immediately spit it out.
I am pretty sure that it was one of my birthdays. I want to say that I might have been like 22. And I had someone gave me a shooter of Jack Daniels. I took the shooter and I immediately, became ill. And in the, naturally rallied. But in that moment of getting, sick, I remember thinking to myself, like, I can't tell you the last time I had been sick while drinking. And I was like,
Jack Daniels, baby.
Jack Daniels. That's what this is all about.
It's definitely not a Jack Daniels podcast.
Bastards.
That's for sure.
No, not at all. Not at all. Good Lord.
I thought it would be interesting to research bourbon a little bit. Stick to bourbon.
Yes.
And there's this one name that kept coming up. I don't know if you came across it. It's this guy by the name of Mike Veach.
No.
So he's dedicated his life essentially to being a historian of bourbon.
Oh, wow.
And he's dubbed in some of the readings as the unofficial ambassador of Kentucky bourbon.
Listen, if there was ever a title to have or like
Seriously.
aim for.
Seriously. So he came up a lot in my readings, and he's from Louisville, actually. You know, Louisville is pretty much the birthplace of bourbon, or at least where a majority of it is sold from now. Mm-hmm. So many people think that bourbon got its name from the aptly named Bourbon County.
Correct.
But that's not true.
Correct.
This, however, was not the case. Actually, this can be easily disproved by the fact that in the Filson Historical Society, they have bourbon labels printed from as early as 1850. But there was no mention of bourbon coming from Bourbon County until 1870.
Yes.
It wasn't printed until then. So easily disproves that. For some reason, stories didn't appear until then, and that's what led Mike Veach to believe that this isn't where this name came from. So Veach goes on to say in this interview, I believe it was with the Histonian, that's where I found this, the genesis of this name occurred when two gentlemen known as the Tarasco brothers arrived in Louisville from south of Cognac, France. They began to ship local barrels of whiskey to New Orleans, and they actually told the Kentuckians that you'd be very easily able to sell these to the New Orleans because French brandy and cognac is also made in aged oak barrels, charred oak barrels.
And if I'm not mistaken, then the bourbon that was being made and resold was cheaper than...
Oh, I didn't see that.
That's what I had found, was that it was actually cheaper than cognac.
Oh, that
as a result, probably due to like import export.
Sure.
So that's what helped a lot with the popularity take off.
Yeah. So the large population of New Orleans is French. So everyone was used to French brandy and cognac. So it was a very easily sell, and this is where the name came from, because eventually, when people started to become familiar with this whiskey that they found on Bourbon Street, people would call it, that bourbon whiskey. On Bourbon Street, where it was mostly sold.
I was very interested about that. Like, I had no idea. So the interesting thing about Bourbon County also, if anything, just to reiterate, that area, is that at one time it actually was home to a number of distilleries. But that was up until 1919, when Prohibition had gone into effect.
Right. I did read this a little bit.
But even after Prohibition was repealed, there were actually no distilleries in Bourbon County until 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there was almost a 100-year period where there was no bourbon distillery in Bourbon County.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So do you have who it was? Who came in 2014?
If I'm not mistaken, for some reason it's sticking out in my mind. I don't have it written down, but we can check to verify. I believe that it was Buffalo Trace.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I want to say that it was them who had opened it back up again.
So they actually make, I didn't write it down, but Buffalo Trace makes what is considered by this guy Mike Veach to be the absolute best bourbon of all time.
Really?
And it's called like Pop Van Pappy or something. It's got like Pappy in the name, or Pop in the name, almost like a grandpa, or Pop Van Winkle.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. But Buffalo Trace does a rendition of this very famous bourbon.
Interesting. See, that I didn't know at all.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was the one. I don't know if you had read about this, but there was an argument and a test that essentially was done that said that originally, like, due to like shipping costs and whatnot, they used to go ahead and barrel up, the bourbon, and then for it to make its way east, they used to just throw the barrels into the Ohio River and let them, float along the way.
Yeah.
So they did like an experiment with this more recently than not, to go ahead and actually see, like, is this actually true? And when it got to its final destination, they had, I guess, impartial judges kind of like review it. And they did find that those barrels that had been thrown into the Ohio River and then, sloshed around and whatnot, did find that their age, or the taste, seemed as if it was aged at a longer process. It was richer. It was a much better taste. And they think that it's because of the continuous
got tossed around,
back and forth sloshing motion.
Interesting.
I'd have to go back and check to exactly I found that. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say
that tracks. Yeah. That's cool. Too bad we can't get our hands on any of those.
This is so good, though.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want to suck it down because I know what happened last time.
I thought about it because I looked at yours and mine was actually out of eye shot. And I was like, oh, he still has some left. I hope I have that much left. And I don't.
Yeah, I've been savoring.
You're a good man. You're a good man. I give you a lot of credit on that one.
It's a good drink.
It is very nice.
So actually, I didn't put this down anywhere, but I thought it'd be cool to bring up. A couple of years ago, before my friend Scott got married, we took him on his bachelor party to Louisville.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's right. Didn't you guys go to the Kentucky Derby?
We did. We went to Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
We didn't see a race. It was off season. But we did. We took a tour of Churchill Downs. We went to the Louisville Slugger Museum.
Oh.
And also, the factory, which I didn't know was attached.
I didn't know that either.
So that was cool. I tried to hit baseballs.
Yeah.
They put you in a batting cage and they launch them at you.
Oh, God.
Like maybe even like 40 or 50 miles an hour. I don't even think I got the bat on one.
Oh, no, I don't think I would either.
At all.
That's when you would see me. Nick Messina, bunter extraordinaire.
But also on this trip, we took him on a whiskey tour. It was actually a bourbon tour, really. And we got on a party bus, all like 12 of us, and went the entire day on this bus to like 3 or 4, maybe might have even been 5 separate distilleries.
Yeah.
So I know we went to Maker's Mark for sure. Mm-hmm. Scott got to dip his own bottle, which was cool. Yep.
Nice.
We went to Evan Hill.
Oh, okay.
For sure, and that might have been my favorite one.
Interesting.
And we also went to 2 more. One of them got switched on the trip because something happened to the original one, so they just swapped it out.
Yeah.
But dude, like 12 guys on a bus for like 12 hours. We had beers on the bus. Had the driver stop us at McDonald's, or like going nuts all day, sampling whiskey. It was ridiculous.
Oh, that would have been curtains for me.
Yeah, it was a fantastic time. I don't know how we made it on the bus.
I don't know if that's what you guys did. So there's actually something that's known as the Bardstown. So there's like the Bardstown Bourbon Trail in Bardstown, Kentucky.
That might have been what it was.
It might have been. And interestingly enough, that's what they refer to as the bourbon capital of the world. As Bardstown.
Oh, really?
Kentucky then. Yeah.
I feel like someone did refer to it as a bourbon trail once.
Yeah.
So maybe that was was what we took.
I was going to say that's the official
that sounds
official name then. Yeah.
It was super fun, man.
I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, it was super fun. Once was enough for me. Thank you.
Oh, all right. That's fine. I guess. That's all right.
So that was a blast. I'm a big fact guy.
For a second, I thought you just said, like, I'm a big fat guy. I was like, no, you're not. You're svelte. What are you talking about?
Svelte, huh? No, I'm a big fact guy.
Yeah.
I love facts.
Everything up until now has just been lies.
Well, it has been, for all intents and purposes. Yeah. No, I love interesting facts.
Yeah.
For more than anything. So I decided to get into some about bourbon. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know this, but I'm sure Star Wars fans will gripe about it. But the true significance of May the 4th is the legacy set by bourbon. May 4th, 1964, 13 years before Star Wars, bourbon became America's first and only native spirit.
That's the one that was the Senate resolution.
What you were talking about, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize it. I have it written down, too.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Shit.
Yep.
Senate resolution number 19.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I didn't realize. I didn't put that all together in my brain.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm here for, homie. Bourbon distilleries, I didn't know this, made penicillin during World War II.
Oh, did they?
They actually switched over. Though Sir Alexander Fleming discovered penicillin 15 years beforehand, it was in short supply. So during the time, the distilleries turned over to mass produce penicillin for wounded warriors.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and it actually they saved a ton of lives. And similarly, modernly, now a lot of bourbon distilleries make alcohol-based hand sanitizer.
I think actually I remember reading something about that's how some of the local, like, smaller breweries were able to stay in business during the kind of like height, of the pandemic and whatnot.
And that's why they're doing it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So dual purpose. Once a bourbon barrel is used, as we know, for bourbon, it can't be used again for bourbon. But Scotch makers are very happy to take them and actually will use them over and over again. Scotch makers use them to imbue their brews or their, distills with distinct flavors.
Interesting.
Taken from the bourbon.
So we were talking about this before, but where I used to work, we used to smoke our bourbon.
Yes.
And we used to use
Delicious.
the casks. That's what we used to light on fire and go ahead and catch, and that's what would give it that additionally
That's cool.
smoky, sweet, sort of distinct flavor. Oh yeah, I used
The
to
smoked bourbon is one of my favorite things ever since I had it.
I used to love it. The only reason why I know as much about bourbon as I do is because we used to rationalize. We're like, well, we've got to try all of them to know exactly what's good and what's not.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but when you've got like, a dozen and a half different bourbons on the menu, got a little dice.
Makes for a fun day at work.
Oh, good Lord.
Were you taking spoonfuls of them? More?
I had a lot of fun.
Okay,
when I
fair
worked there.
enough.
Yeah.
Good times. Did you know there are more bourbon barrels than residents in Kentucky?
I did not until I read it, and then I saw it, and you're saying it again.
4.7 million barrels to 4.3 million residents.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I like that. That beats the hell out of, a car in every garage and a chicken in every pot.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
They're more bourbon than men.
I'm okay with that, I think.
Oh, for sure.
I think that makes for a good time. It's amazing because I'm not in a rush to ever go to Kentucky, but suddenly you're really starting to sell it to me.
Kentucky's phenomenal. Let me tell you.
I guess so. Huh.
Did you know there's white bourbon?
No.
There is.
Is there?
Yeah, you can, even if it's in a new barrel for
Yeah.
just a millisecond, it's considered bourbon. So there are clear bourbons.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I have, because I know that I've had...
I'm sure you've seen
Clear-
White Lightning.
Yes.
With the
that's
white
like-
whiskey?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the same thing for bourbon. As long as it's in the barrel for any amount of time, it is considered bourbon.
I like that.
But if it's any less than 4 years in the cask, then it has to go on the bottle. This was aged for 3 years and 300 days.
Really?
This was aged for 1 day. Yes.
But it's still allowed to be called
bourbon. But
bourbon.
It must go on the barrel. Anything less than 4 years must go on the bottle.
Interesting. I like that. Huh. That's like being an atheist your entire life and then on your deathbed being like, yeah, I want you to sprinkle some water on me so I can get into that nice Christian heaven then.
Sprinkle some water on me.
Sorry, that's really... See? This is what the bourbon does.
Yeah, yep. So here I found my my fact from before. 60% of any bottle of bourbon's sales goes directly to the government in taxes.
Why is it so high?
I'm not sure, but bourbon producers in Kentucky pay some $14 million a year in property taxes only to store the barrels.
So, and I don't know if this is necessarily related, but I know that for a very long time, after even the repeal of prohibition, that like in the advertising community, there's a related story, folks. Just buckle up. All right. That for the longest time, beer and wine was still actively advertised on television and on radio. However, spirits were not. And a lot of times it was due to the fact is that there was this assumption that beer and wine was consumed in a social setting and in like interpersonal connections. And there was almost a negative connotation there.
Yeah, there's a stigma.
Yeah, like if you drank spirits, it was more associated with the idea then of like alcoholism and things along those lines. So I'm wondering if it was a matter of like, puritanical, should you be...
It really could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this is my last interesting fact, probably my favorite one, actually.
Yeah.
President Truman believed in breakfast bourbon.
Give him hell, Harry.
President Truman would wake up at 5 a.m., take a brisk walk, and then sit down for a breakfast of bacon, eggs, toast, milk, and a shot of wild turkey.
Well, listen, if that is not the breakfast of a man that decided to drop 2 bombs on Japan to end the war, I don't know what is.
That is a savage breakfast.
Wow.
Every day.
Wow.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Good for him.
I'm connecting so many things in my mind now. Like the idea of him...
You know much more about Truman than I do.
Well, he's the one that's, famously holds up the newspaper that says Dewey defeats Truman. Like, I would love if he was just, like, shit-canned and thinking, like...
might have been.
I'm out of here. your new president, Dewey, is going to really love this new position.
What a legend.
I know. Well, he was, what was his nickname? It's a great word.
I don't know. I might know it if you said it.
He was known as the Haberdasher.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he used to own a haberdashery before he became president.
What exactly is a hat? Is it a hat?
Haberdasher. It's like a clothing store.
What a fancy name.
Right?
Oh, there's an R in there. Look at that.
Oh, yeah. Haberdasher.
Oh, look at that. Men's clothing and accessories. That would have been great for the Frippery episode.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Always learning something new.
Let's see. Do I have anything else realistically?
I was very prepared for you earlier to ask me how Kentucky's climate how it makes it good bourbon.
Oh, and
I have this article open, and I was like, "What is this?" I was ready.
Do you want to tell me about it then?
No, it's okay. Right. I explained it before.
The last thing that I had kind of looked into then was, because I was trying to figure out, other things with bourbon. So, and I did come across, obviously, then Bourbon Street. So, like, Bourbon Street really does have a really kind of cool story to it and kind of like background overall. So again, the Bourbon Street is right in the heart of what we know as the French Quarter.
Yes.
Don't mind my ADD, but have you been?
Not yet.
Okay. It's another place
soon.
Listen, as I've been, what a time.
Oh, I'm gonna have so many hurricanes and hand grenades.
You got to be real careful though.
Yeah, I know.
We went I was there in March.
You get mugged real fast there.
Oh, it's honestly, without getting like too heavy, it is real sad.
It's seedy,
like what it is, what New Orleans is.
Yeah,
and Louisiana in general.
So many things have happened there, even in recent history.
Oh yeah. And but we were there in March, for example, and we're children of the Northeast, like March, like, oh, springtime, starting to get a little nice outside.
Sure.
It was roughly 85 to 90 degrees with 100% humidity.
Oh God.
And it was, and just imagine again, that many
That's
folks.
summer in Jersey.
Oh my God. The heat and the smell, like you.
Oh yeah.
Oh dude. Like it was one of those things where like you always make that joke where like, oh, everyone in the South is so slow. Well, son of a bitch, if it's that hot in March, I'm not going to be rushing around anywhere either. Like,
that's fair.
It's rough.
That's fair.
But if anything, just a brief history kind of like of the area, just to give some background of New Orleans and Louisiana. So it was originally claimed in the name of France in the 1690s, and New Orleans was founded then in 1721 by Jean-Baptiste Le Moyne de Bienvenue.
Oh.
Yeah, love it.
Muy French.
Muy French. Très, très François. It was then given to the Spanish in 1763 after the 7 Years' War. 80% of the city then was burned during what was known as the Great New Orleans Fire of 1788.
80%.
80%. So interestingly enough then, the Spanish, they then went ahead and rebuilt a majority of it. And those buildings still stand today. So actually, a decent portion of New Orleans and the French Quarter is more closely related to Spanish architecture than French architecture. It went back to being in the control of France and the French for a really brief period of time before we purchased Louisiana, and Louisiana purchased in
I know that one.
1803. So before 1900, Bourbon Street was actually like a premier residential area. Like was like where you wanted to try and live. It was not what it is now. However, it started to take on more characteristics of, there was an area close by that was called Storyville. And Storyville is actually like where the red light district was. So that's where, you had, houses of ill repute and things along those lines. It was around like World War I-ish when Bourbon Street started to take on more of those like characteristics. And at any one point on Bourbon Street, there were at least 50 different peep shows, burlesque shows, again, ladies of the night. And
Sounds like the Amsterdam red light district.
Except not regulated and not legal. Like the Amsterdam red light district, which I've been to as well, is like
at least legal.
It's legal and I'm not going to call it classy, but like you don't feel like, ugh, like you don't feel dirty about it necessarily. Sure. So there was a mayor in the 60s, in 1962, this guy by the name of Jim Garrison. He had tried to crack down on a lot of those, more adult places. However, he was like successful. Like he took out, like there were raids that constantly went on in the area. In the 70s and 80s, they tried to make it like much more appealing to like tourists. And then there was like this period in the 80s and 90s called what they thought was like Disneyfication, which was like all of a sudden when like tourist shops and all those sort of places started to pop up on Bourbon Street. But now it's kind of, it's kind of calm. It's one of those areas where like you stay in the area.
Yeah.
It's a
like
beautiful
San Juan.
Yeah, but stay
by the boat.
It's wild. It's a wild city.
I'm sure Mardi Gras is probably insane.
Yes, it is.
Insane.
Yes,
I would love to go. There's actually one thing I wanted to end on.
Please.
And it was a cocktail. If anything, just for you and I to try one day.
Oh.
So this came about as I was looking. Somehow it came into one of the articles. But this is called the Revolver. So the way the person goes on to explain is that bourbon drinkers really don't get that many craft cocktails.
No.
So this guy, John Santer, a bartender in San Francisco around 2003, created this drink called the Revolver. Very nicely named. It's made with bullet bourbon. Get it? Bullet Revolver, right? So it's bullet bourbon, orange bitters, and coffee liqueur.
Oh.
So I'm super intrigued by this. And the guy said that when it was made with Tia Maria.
Okay.
But that actually isn't the best coffee liqueur for it. He goes on to... No, Frangelico.
Oh, Frangelico's not I'm sorry.
Strawberry, right?
No.
Or cranberry?
No, either one. No, Frangelico's
It is?
Yeah.
Now I got to check this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw... If you want to keep...
What's the one with the strawberries in it?
The one with the strawberries?
Oh, Frangelico is hazelnut.
Yeah. That's the one you usually put in coffee as well.
What's the one with strawberries? I'm going to find that later.
Okay.
Anyway, so the Revolver, the coffee liqueur, he goes on to say Firelit is a good one. Mm-hmm. It's a Bay Area liqueur made with Blue Bottle coffee. No good. I've never had Blue Bottle.
Oh, Nick and I joke all the time. We hate.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Maybe
coffee.
That's not a good one. There's an Italian liqueur. It's called Galliano Ristretto.
Oh, yeah.
I've never had that.
Yeah.
That sounds good. And you could use Kahlua.
Oh.
That's easy.
We're going to have to start making these.
Yeah, these sound awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm down.
I like that idea a lot. It's bourbon, it's coffee, and orange happens to be one of my favorite flavors and fruits.
I'm not a big, put alcohol in my coffee kind of guy, but I feel like the other way around, put coffee in my alcohol, I'm okay with.
I like the way you did that.
Yeah.
All aboard the rationalization train.
Hey,
whoop, whoop.
I'm the conductor.
Whoop, whoop.
That's going to be it for us.
Yeah.
I didn't have any jokes today.
Oh, that's all right.
I know.
That's all right. Oh, you could have just said all aboard the bullet train. Oh.
You did it for me.
This was a good episode. Felix, I wonder if a fall from this height would kill me.
Nah, probably not.
The last fact, very, very last fact.
I love facts.
That I've got here is this was a very appropriate episode and spirit for us to go for because millennials happen to be the largest consumers and purchasers of bourbon.
Interesting.
This is according to Drizzly.
I believe that.
57% of bourbon consumers happen to be millennials. And that's us. That's us.
That's us and most of our audience.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
That's right.
You.
You know what that's the sound of though? That's a sign of? That's an entire generation drowning themselves.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's also a fact? I think we're at the end.
This is the end.
This is the end.
The end of our show.
The end of our show.
Blackberries and bourbon.
Blackberries and bourbon.
Go nicely with lime.
Go nicely with lime.
And basil.
And basil.
See you later.
See you later.
Peace out.
Peace out.
I can't go any higher.
That's why I went low on that one.
Thank you.
All right. Goodbye. Stay tuned for our album. We'll be releasing that very, very soon.
Very soon.
All right.